Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Dave. I'm a licensed podiatrist. I'd like to thank you for watching my video on my Frugal Foot YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to start discussing molding techniques for custom molded foot orthotics. Now, I want to be very clear that in my discussion here, there is no official right or wrong way. I simply want you to look at the different methods that I'm going to show you in this video, and then I'm going to show you in another video a different type of molding technique, and I want you to think about which one makes more sense to you. Now, everybody might have a different conclusion at the end, but I'm going to show you the different methods and I'll let you make the decision. So the first type of method is going to be the slipper cast method, and this is the type of method that I actually learned how to do in school. Basically, the patient is sitting in the chair with their foot suspended in space, so it is not on the floor. And then the foot is wrapped using wet plaster cloths in order to make a negative impression of the bottom of the foot, basically the arch. And then we hold your foot in what is considered to be neutral position. And I'll use that word neutral loosely. Once the casting is dry, it is removed, and then we've created basically a negative impression of the bottom of the foot, including the arch, with the arch arguably elevated. We send this to the lab. Now, a second method is the step in the box method, and this is done using a foam block. This is considerably different than the plaster method. It's obviously a lot easier to do and it's a lot neater and cleaner, but in this method, the individual is told to step into the foam box. Now, doing this allows the arch to go all the way down, but it is done on the floor and it gives the lab the bottom of the actual foot. So in this method here, the arch is considerably lower. A third method is 3D printing, and this is basically done using an application on your phone where you take a picture, several pictures of the foot in different positions, and you send that to the lab as well. Now, it is important to realize that there is a lot of variability that goes into the actual molding of the orthotic. It is not always standardized. Now, there is another thing to take into consideration, and it is this. When you look at this kind of mold, this is done non-weight bearing. Again, the foot was in the air. So if the foot is in the air, we could argue that the arch is all the way up. However, there is no bottom of that arch, of that foot in the mold. And so the lab does not really know how high the arch is. Whereas if you look at the 3D printing method, or if you look at these foam block step in the box methods, there is the floor, but the weight of the individual pushes that arch down. And where I'm going with this is that in all of these different scenarios, the lab really doesn't know how high that arch really is. And so they have a problem, because if they make the orthotic too high, well, then the patient won't be able to wear their orthotic comfortably, and they won't be very happy, and neither will the doctor. And so what is done is a technique called cast correction. We're taught this in school. What happens is after the positive mold is created, the podorthus will take plaster and fill in the actual arch of the mold. I would imagine this gets done on the computer now, but the amount of cast correction really is arbitrary. It doesn't really matter, and it can be different from one lab to the next. So when the patient gets their orthotic back, the arch of the orthotic doesn't always fit the arch of the foot. Instead, it's depressed a little bit, and this allows the arch to depress a little bit on the orthotic in order to be able to absorb shock. Now, that's very important because a lot of these inserts are rock hard. Now, the lab realizes this, and so they're going to do something to make up for the fact that they've removed the height of the arch. It's called posting. Posting is tilting of the orthotic. Now, this is an old orthotic that I had made back for me well over 15 years ago. Posting is this grind right here, and it can be on the back, it can also be on the front of the orthotic, and it allows the insert to tilt either this way or this way. So Tilting is supposed to make up for, or posting is supposed to make up for the fact that this doesn't fit the arch correctly, and that posting is going to allow the orthotic to function the way that it's supposed to in order to address the individual's problem. Orthotics can also be tailored to specific problems, and so when you're doing this kind of orthotic, you could have a cover put on it, and you could have different pads added to the actual orthotics. So perhaps a doctor has a patient who has an inflamed nerve between their toes called a Morton's neuroma. Well, perhaps they want to have a metatarsal pad added to the top of the actual plate and then have the cover added over the top of that. This will help to elevate the nerve off of the ground and hopefully will start to alleviate the patient's symptoms. So perhaps you want to have another pad to alleviate calluses. These can be added to the top of the orthotic to create different kinds of remedies for different problems. What I want you to understand from these different types of molding techniques is that there is a lot of variability that goes into the making of them and how they function. So again, it's not right or wrong, but I want you to see that. Now, it's important that we understand how these are prescribed. And so the next video is going to be about prescribing these types of custom molded foot orthotics. So stay tuned. If you learned something from this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'm Dr. Dave, and I'll see you on my next video.